In this video, we will be talking about how biotechnology works in forensics. Here we have our victim, the beloved Cinderella. She was killed in her castle that she shared with her husband, Prince Charming, and was found on the balcony in her bedroom. When detectives arrived on the scene, they found hair from the person who killed the princess in the pool of blood they left her in. Detectives ruled this death a homicide, collected a DNA sample from the victim, a piece of hair, and then identified 4 possible suspects. Suspect number 1, Prince Charming. Cinderella's husband and prince to the kingdom is a suspect because they had easy access to her room. He was in the castle the night of the incident, and he frequently verbally fought with his wife. Moving on to our next suspect, we have Anastasia Tremaine, the victim's stepsister. Anastasia was often mean and abusive to Cinderella when she lived with her, so she already had violent tendencies. However, her whereabouts during the time of the murder are unknown. Next, the victim's fairy godmother. The fairy godmother was like a mother figure to the victim and looked out for her. However, fairy godmother was in the castle the night of the murder, making her a suspect. Lastly, we have Lady Tremaine. Lady Tremaine was Cinderella's evil stepmother, who abused the victim when she was living with her. Her whereabouts during the time of the murder were unknown, but she had access to the castle. Detectives took a hair sample from each of the 4 suspects and used DNA analysis to determine who was guilty. Here we have the diagram for one of the 2 VNTR loci we will be looking at. VNTR stands for Variable Number of Tandem Repeats, and in this diagram, the bands are organized by length because they have different numbers of copies of short repeated DNA sequences. We have the longer ones towards the top and the shorter ones towards the bottom. First, let's identify which hair belongs to the victim. As we can see from the diagram, hair 1 matches the victim exactly. We can tell this because the bands are in the same spot for each sample. Now that we know that hair 2 belongs to the killer, let's see which one of our suspects matches the best. Suspect 1, Prince Charming, has 1 band towards the bottom that matches the hair, but the top band doesn't, so he can be excluded. Now we have suspect 2, Anastasia, who is the daughter of Lady Tremaine. We can see they are related because they have at least 1 band in common. However, they have both bands in common, which matches the hair left at the crime scene. This means suspect 2 and 4 cannot be excluded from the suspect list. Lastly, suspect 3, Fairy Godmother, has no matching band, so she can be excluded. Looking at the second diagram, we know suspects 1 and 3 can be excluded, but we confirm by checking the second locus. Suspects 2 and 4, mother and daughter, are the 2 we believe could have committed the crime, so we will narrow down who killed Cinderella. Looking at suspect 1 again, we see there is 1 matching band, but they do not line up exactly. Prince Charming did not commit the crime. Unlike the first loci, suspect 2 only has 1 matching band this time, meaning her DNA doesn't match what was found at the crime scene. Anastasia is free to go. Suspect 3, Fairy Godmother, didn't match hair 2 at all in the last locus, and she doesn't at this locus either, because none of the bands match. Fairy Godmother did not commit the crime. Lastly, suspect 4, Lady Tremaine, is the only suspect left, so she must have done it. To confirm, we see that again, her DNA matches that found at the crime scene, as both bands in hair 2 match her DNA. Lady Tremaine has been proven as the killer based on the DNA analysis that was conducted. I hope this helps, and thanks so much for watching.